big day today. It is the biggest tournament of this Australian festival here at the Gold Coast. I might have busted like all the bullets last video, but spoiler alert, hey, this is a 20k, so could make it all back up. I think I'm like actually down close to 20 so far from the first video being like 0 for 6 in bullets. But hey, I can just win this one or min cash this one and then everything's erased. It's the beauty about poker. So good luck us in the 20k high roller.
This is the biggest tournament of the trip, the 20k buy-in here in Australia. We start things off with 250,000 chips. In level 4 we go, picking up pocket fives in the small blind. I decide to limp in the big blind checks, and we're off to a flop of 8, 7, 5, 2 diamonds. I check it over to him with an underpair to the board, but a straight draw, and he checks this one back. And we're going to see a turn, which is a board pairing 6. All things considered, not a bad result, but it is very vulnerable with my hand. I decide to check, don't really want to put many chips in the middle, and my opponent fires out 6,000. Definitely not going away here. I decide to make the call, and the river is another 6. So we end up boating up, although not very strong of a full house to be fair. I check one more time and my opponent fires out 17,000, and as played and given the situation here, don't think I'm ever really folding for this price. There's lots of bluffs, and I also beat like worse pairs that could be value betting as well. So I decide to make the call, and my opponent has Jack 7. And yeah, that's going to be a loser the first hand of the day. But progressing to level 6 now, I've chipped down a little bit, but picking up ace 10 offsuit in +1. Under the gun 7 raises to 9,000 chips. Here, I decided to 3-bet this one to 30,000. It's a little bit frisky. My hand just wants to fold a lot of the time, but happy to get in there and battle with some suspect hands. Then the hijack decides to cold call my 3-bet, which is really, really dicey. Not really sure what's happening here, but everyone else ends up folding. So we're going to go out of position to a flop of ace 10, 9. Yeah, that's going to help me navigate this pot much, much easier. With top 2 pair, I throw out 20,000. And my opponent comes along for a call once again, so I really just don't know what he could possibly have. But when the turn is the 8 of clubs, brings in a backdoor flush draw. 2 flush draws on the board, super connected board. And here I decided to size up to 85,000. I'm putting about half of my chips left into the middle, betting 85k with 75k back. It's pretty dicey of a spot. Obviously, I want to get a lot of chips in the middle before the board changes in such a way where I can't even value bet my hand. But my opponent goes into the tank for a long time before just folding. So I guess he had a draw, who knows, but it's nice to get back to starting stack after this hand, after chipping down for the first few levels. Progressing into level 7, blinds are up yet again, and I pick up ace 4 suited in the low jack, raise it up to 10,000. I get the button and big blind to call, so multi-way, I'm kind of in the middle position here. The flop is pretty sweet in 10, 6, 6, 2 spades. Big blind checks it over to me, and I definitely have an option to be betting or checking, obviously. But I think my hand wants to do a little bit of both sometimes, and here I chose the path of violence and throwing out 26,000 into the middle. The button ends up making the call here, which I can't really see him being too strong. I would imagine he has a lot of overcards and maybe some pocket pairs. But we're off to a turn which comes in 8. So here doesn't improve my hand, obviously, and I'm torn between continuing barreling or checking. To be honest here, if I bet and he jams into me, then I'm in a miserable spot. So trying to avoid that situation, I decided to check it over to him. Then he fires out a pretty small bet considering the size of the pot to 40,000. Now, I pretty much feel like I have one option, and that option is going to be all in. I have 175 back, so about a little bit more than 4x his raise, 4.5x his bet. And I'm just going to be in there. I jam all in. My opponent isn't happy, but ends up making the call. So hopefully we need to see a spade. He has pocket queens, which is not necessarily a hand that I was expecting to see. But hey, that's very strong. Can't bluff this one off. But river one time, it's a brick. Nope. Can't get there with my flush draw. I am off to rebuy.
I don't get it. Maybe I'm just cursed here. I love Australia and I love Gold Coast way too much to ever run good in this place. Holy shit. Can't win a hand, can't win a pot, gonna rebuy. Feels bad.
This is only a one rebuy, one re-entry tournament. Cannot fire off infinite money, which may be good for me because things are not going super well. But hey, time to avenge myself. I pick up King 10 offsuit in the next level. First hand of this next bullet here. Raise it up to 12,000 from the hijack, and no one seems to be respecting me here. Cut off, button, big blind, make the call. So multi-way, 4 ways to a flop of 10-7-3 rainbow. Oh my goodness, what a great flop for me. But sticking to the theme of being very passive in multi-way pots, I check and everyone ends up checking. So it doesn't seem like anyone's too interested in this pot. When the turn comes the 10 of diamonds, brings in a backdoor flush draw and checks to me. Sitting with trips, with a very good kicker, I obviously think I have the best hand for sure, and I decided to bet really small, 14,000 here. I just can't imagine that I'm supposed to be betting a big size, and I kind of want to just get as loose of a call as humanly possible by anyone in this field, because everyone seems to be really weak here. The button is the only customer, and we're off to a river heads up, which is the Queen of Spades. Overall, don't love this card, but seems very, very safe. I mean, I only lose to Queen 10, and that seems really unlikely as played. So I fire out 65,000. Feel like I have to just start building a pot at some point, and I have a very good hand, so trying to get value. Then my opponent goes all in. Oh my goodness. What? I mean, my brain can't compute how I could possibly beat here. I mean, river jams and river raises are very, very seldom a bluff. But my hand is just so good, and it seems super improbable that I'm ever beat. So I make the call pretty quickly, and he just shows pocket threes. Yup, just like that. Bam, bam, bam. No time to waste. There goes 40,000 Aussie dollars, and GG's me.
I don't know what to do anymore, guys. I don't know what to do anymore. Am I just supposed to, like, fold every single strong hand that I ever have in my life? I'm losing it. I'm truly losing it. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm here back in the Airbnb, and I think this is pretty damn close to my rock bottom. Thinking about just the variance of poker and my current experience. Just annoying is really what it is. I mean, I've played enough poker to understand the variance of it, and my logical brain understands that this is going to happen at a very prolonged stretch, and it's going to keep happening, and it's going to happen for longer than I could ever possibly think, because that's just the nature of the variance within poker, and that really good players that play live poker will never actually realize their win rate, because that's just how high variance it is. Whereas when you play online, you can get a lot of volume in, and you get to go through the variance much quicker, but the game's tougher. Much, much tougher. And I don't know if I'm really made for it. I don't know if I'm built to handle the variance, the swings. I've done a lot of it in my lifetime, the past couple of years so far, but this year feels especially bad. Like right now, let's go through things. I am looking at my very first losing year in poker for sure. And we're gonna take a look at the big fat number, and this is just in live poker. Live tournaments, live cash games, I'm looking at minus 450K for the year. So it's like a lot of stress to one, want to make entertaining videos, and two, want to show like some realistic parts, but this is kind of what I'm looking at right now. I'm staring at the barrel of a gun that's saying you are getting wrecked, and you will continue to get wrecked, and you're going to lose, and you're going to lose this year, which I'm like okay with. I have sunned very hard up until this point, or up until the last year or so, the first 3 years of my poker career, and I've won way more than I should have. And now I'm paying for it. But like, that's the number I'm looking at for this year, and it's currently September 19th. This is not really a number that can be made up. over the next 2.5 months, let's say, or 3.5 months, 3.5 months. But I mean, we can go over the. I mean, it's just like, let's go over the tournaments. The tournament world. This is what you're seeing. I mean, you're seeing break the 20K, break the 20K. I literally played like, I showed you guys 4 hands because I didn't win many pots, but I played for like over 3 hours. This number is a little bit different, wrong. I could just move the time period up a little bit. I played at least a level or something, but like, I sat in 15 minutes, second bullet, dead. First bullet, played 3 hours, dead. I played a 580. I mean, this is Australia right now, and I love this place, but oh my god, it's so much red. And you know what's even crazier is that there's even more red because I fired the Hard Rock, 25K, gone in 4 minutes. I played a 10K, literally gone in under a minute. Like, I just don't know how, just not winning. There's a little bit of green. I cashed some stuff in Hard Rock, but I couldn't make videos of it because didn't think it was super interesting. And then we just go back to red. And then the summer was actually pretty decent. I finally had a winning summer. But like, this 10K bullet played 0 minutes. It's just, I don't know. I guess I'm just bitching and complaining. But this is what tournaments are like. It's just a realistic depiction. Cash games, I'm down 230. I'm like an even split, actually. It's kind of wild. It's like an even split between how much I'm down in cash and tournaments. I guess I just suck at both. But I haven't played much cash. I've played like 28 sessions this year, which is not a lot at all. And of course, I'm down piles. If you look at the month, January was really bad, and then now I'm like break even basically since January. So, I mean, starting off the year in January, minus 430 is like such a ridiculous number. So that's what I'm looking at. Feeling pretty sad, feeling pretty down in the dumps, but we'll try to regain the composure. Tomorrow is the WPT main event, so maybe I'll get some content and footage of that. It's 8K Aussie buy-in. I need to figure out how much Aussie dollars I have left because I blew through like a majority of the budget in cash I had here. So I'm gonna need to win something, or I just won't play. I don't know. But the Aussie main is 8K buy-in, which is great. And hopefully I can get some content. Maybe I can win some pots. But for now, I'm going to sulk for the rest of the night, contemplate life. I don't know what to do. What would you do in my shoes? You just quit? You just quit playing poker if you were in my shoes and move on to something you're better at? I tried golf. I'm not very good at golf. Yeah, I think that's it. It's a new day. I'm trying to remind myself there's a lot to be grateful for, so gonna come in ready, play some poker. It's the 8K Aussie main, so it's a big tournament, it's a big event, and I'm in Australia, and even though I'm down swinging hard, there's a lot to be grateful for, and just gotta play some good poker. Good luck us.
I registered early into this WPT main event, $8,000 Aussie buy-in, ready to redeem myself after a pretty tough trip. At the 500 big blind mark with 50K starting stacks, I pick up pocket sixes on the button. Under the gun raises to 1,000. Cutoff makes the call. I call. And the small blind jams for 6,700 chips. It's only 13 big blind. Seems like he's pretty short stacked. And here we go. We've got action because the under the gun player calls. Cutoff makes the call. I guess I'm just going to call too. I mean, it's not that many chips. Anyways, I am in there to make the call. So 4 ways to a flop we go, which comes 9-8 deuce. Sadly, no 6 for me. But when action checks to me, I definitely think my hand needs some protection here. So I fire out 6,500. And then the under the gun player check raises to 20,000. Oh man, that's just not fun. And I fold, everyone folds, and we're going to see at least an all-in to see what the opponents had. The under the gun player has 9-8 for top 2 pair, and I'm going to lose a pretty chunky pot to start the day. I mean, this would have been really, really nice if I hit a 6 and 1, but alas, that is not my hand. Luckily, it's early in the tournament, and at the 600 big blind level, I have ace-8 offsuit, raise it up to 1,200, and once again, get many players to call. Cutoff, button, and big blind. The flop comes jack-8, 2 hearts here. Action's going to check to the cutoff player who fires out 2,500. The button makes the call, and here, I just think I have the best hand a lot of the time, to be honest with you. So I decided to check raise to a smaller size, to 7,500 here, out of position. Cutoff quickly gets out of the way, and the button is in the tank for quite some time. He's also a pretty short stack with about 10,000 chips left. He's all in. So happy to make the call for 2,500 more. And we're all in up against King 5 of Hearts. So trying to fade a king, trying to fade a heart, and the run out is finally safe. It's one of the few times I've won it all in this trip, and at least it came at the right time. No bigger stage than the main event here. Sticking in the same blind level, the ungun player raises it up to 1,200. Next to act makes the call, and I peel this hand in the low jack, and I 3-bet to 4,200 with a very good hand. Only the +1 player ends up making the call, and the original raiser gets out of the way. So we're going to go heads up to a flop of 9-7-6 rainbow. This, I don't really love this board texture for sure. And with ace queen high, I think I have enough showdown and opportunities to just check this one, thinking that my opponent's going to smash this board way more than I am. I check this one back, and we see a very nice looking deuce of clubs. Now my opponent fires out 6,000 into the middle, and I don't have an option. I think calling just makes the most sense. So I'm going to do that with 2 overcards and the nut flush draw. River is an 8. Yep, that is not what I was looking for. He bets 8,000. I snap fold and chipping down yet again. Starting to get a little frustrating, man. I have these flush draws, and they're not hitting. In the following spots at the 800 big blind level, +1 player raises it up to 1,600. I've got 50 big blinds and make it 5,600 with pocket 10s. Action folds to the big blind opponent, who now cold 4-bets to 19.4 thousand. Ew. Already a pretty gross spot off 50 big blinds. It's definitely a dicey situation against an opponent where I don't know if they're going to have many bluffs in this spot. Anyways, the early position player who originally raised goes in the tank for a long time. And here, my mindset went from just committing my stack in to gamble with pocket 10s here. But the longer that my opponent thought about it, the more I actually felt really uncomfortable and wanted to fold. So when the early position player ends up letting his cards go, I really don't know, man. I just keep getting put into these like very unfun spots. But it's pocket 10s. It's already pretty dicey of a hand. I'm just going to let it go, guys. I'm going to fold. I'm showing a fold. It's not very sexy, not very fun, but I muck and move on with my tournament life. And that leads us to a very interesting situation here with the big blind not being at the table in this hand. He's off on a smoke break. I'm not sure what he's doing, but there's 2 big blinds dead in the middle at the 800 big blind mark, and the low jack raises to 2,100 knowing all of this. I look at a very pretty hand in 9-8 suited and decide to call. Then the small blind squeezes to 9,000. Low jack snap folds, and this small blind player is a pretty good pro, in my opinion, it seems, and definitely can be attacking some light opens, considering that there's 2 big blinds dead in the middle and everyone wants a piece of it. So I decide to make the call and see a flop in position. The flop is 9-6-3 rainbow, top pair with a low SPR. He puts me all in. Yeah, he just jams, and I snap call. I'm in here, and he has 10-8 of diamonds. He covers me. We're all in for our tournament life, and we're ahead by a lot here. Turn, diamond. Not like this, guys. No way. River, diamond. That's going to be a flush, sir. 1 pair of 9s, not going to beat a flush.
I am having an extremely difficult time right now to maintain composure and not just rage tilt my face off. It's times like these where I'm losing sight of hope, really. And I don't know what to do anymore. I just don't. I also don't have any more money on me. I didn't expect to fire max everything and brick everything, so I only brought like, what did I do? I planned to have like 75 Aussie or something, and I'm down to my last 8K bullet. And there's day 1B of this tournament tomorrow as well, but I'm gonna go somehow recompose myself. And I have my last bullet that I currently have on me. I don't have any more money on me. I wired some money, but it's like kind of pending and in the sphere of the world, just like in between in the air. So this is really all I got. I got 8K left to spin into this freaking tournament that is so hard to cash or win any pots at all. You are watching the fall of someone in the deep abyss, and I'm losing my mind. And I don't know how much longer I can take of this suffering. I really don't. I don't know. So GLS, bullet 2, final bullet probably of this entire Australia trip because I have no more money. Where's the money?
Attempt numero dos at this WPT main event. We restart on the next day at the 400 big blind mark. I raise it up to 1,000. +2 opponent on my left makes the call, and we're off to a flop of 10-9-3 rainbow. I check to my opponent, and he fires out 1,300. Ace Jack high seems like a really good continue, so I make the call. And we see a turn which is really good. Ace of spades, binking top pair. Action's going to go check, check, so he doesn't want to put many chips into the middle here. And the river is a board pairing 3. My top pair plus jack kicker will play, and I fire out 7,200 for a large overbet. My opponent quickly makes the call, show my top pair, and it's going to win. So nice to start off this day, much better than the last, chipping up early in the day. Things are going to get wacky and crazy. At the 500 big blind mark, EP opens to 1,200. The next opponent goes all in for 40,000 chips, an 80 big blind jam, and I peel ace king of hearts. No freaking way. All right, this opponent has done this a few times, and he actually showed aces one time, but I'm not folding here, guys. There's rebuy open. I mean, come on. Let's be reasonable here. I'm in here. I make the call. Everyone ends up folding, and my opponent has ace-king offsuit. Guys, one flush draw can certainly be better than 2 of them, right? We're off to a flop, which is rainbow. All right, not a whole lot going, but turn heart. No way. I've been burned earlier in the week like this. River freaking heart, finally. Oh my God, finally the run good has come, giving me piles early on this day 1B. Ace King over Ace King. We felt the pain of my opponent in previous videos, but this time we're soaking it in, getting all the chips being pushed my way. My opponent, I guess, kind of gets punished for going all in for 80 big blinds, but hey, I will happily welcome this. So this is very, very rare to finally be running good. And just like that, we've got piles and piles of chips early in the day. I think the vibes are pretty high right now. Progressing to the 800 level, I pick up ace 6 of hearts here in the hijack. You know, hearts have treated me super well. I raise up to 1800. The cutoff, who's been playing basically any 2 cards, makes the call. And the small blind, who I deem to be very aggressive, 3 bets to 8,200. So given the dynamics of this table so far, I decided to make the call. It's a little loose potentially, but here to battle. Cutoff comes along and calls as well. Not very surprised. Off to a flop, which comes ace 7-4 rainbow with 1 heart. Small blind fires out a bet of 5,200. I think he's probably betting a little too much here, especially multi-way and out of position. And this opponent has about 30,000 behind. I obviously make the call with top pair and some backdoor equity. And we're off to a turn, which comes a 5. Well, now my opponent checks, and I just don't think my opponent has anything here. I mean, the ratio between his stack behind and the size of the pot right now is about 1. So he could just jam for pot if he really wanted to, but in this spot, I decided to bet really small for 9,500 here. I'm obviously going to be calling it all in. I think I'm trying to target a hand like kings or queens into making some sort of hero call at least. So trying to get more value here. Don't need my protection. He comes along for a call. So we're off to a river, and I just don't want to see a phase card. It comes a 3. Sure, I guess from top pair improved to a straight. My opponent checks once again, and I have a very easy decision, do some Hollywooding. You know, I don't want to like snap be all in, but yeah, the move is all in for about 20,000 effective. And here we actually bleed into dinner break, and he's in the tank for, I don't know, what seems to be like 5 minutes long. I stay as still as possible, calm as a snail, if that's a saying. Anyways, I've got a straight, so there's nothing for me to worry about. One of the few times I'm all in and I'm not bluffing, so it's actually quite nice. And he ends up folding, sadly, so no more value here. But hey, always nice to take more chips. I'm not greedy. I already have piles of chips, so I'm going to take this one down. Progressing to later in the day, picking up ace 5 of diamonds in the hijack. I raise it up to 2,700 at the 1,200 big blind mark. We get the cutoff and button to make the call. Then the small blind goes all in for about 15,000. Same opponent from last hand. He's pretty aggro and also a very good spot to squeeze into some dead money. So he's only got like 12 big blinds. I have, I think, what seems to be an easy decision, and I decided to isolate and raise to 30,000. The other callers get out of the way, and we are up against ace king. Clearly, I have a bad read of sorts. But hey, we could always just get lucky with 30%, and we see a 5 on the flop. and we end up holding to suck out for the win. It's a relatively small pot, all things considered, but hey, still a very good momentum to win while I'm behind, and seeing chips getting pushed my way after being all in at all, because this is not a feeling that I've been very used to for the past couple of weeks now. We end up entering the last level of the day, level 10 at the 2K big blind mark. We play for a whole hour, no significant hands happen, but I end up bagging about 3.5x starting stack, which we started with 50,000 a day and ended up putting 177,000 into the bag. We fast forward to day 2 with 585,000 Aussie dollars for first place. The stakes are high, and we are hoping for a very long day. With 140 players left, 50 people are in the money, and we've got pocket queens here to start off the day. Underling gun raises off of 20. I 3-bet. He shoves. I make the call for 20 big blinds. We got queens versus ace king, the classic flip for 40 big blinds. And we see a queen in the window. Yeah, that's going to seal up this pot for me here. Very, very fun and great start. Just adding about 50,000 chips to my stack is always a welcome sight. And here we go. Picking up pocket queens in the next hand in the next level, level 12 here. I'm in early position, and the undergun player raises to 6,000. He's the chip leader at the table so far, and I decided to just make the call next to act. We're playing 9-handed, 25% of the field left. Kind of want to be passive with a somewhat vulnerable hand. Everyone ends up folding, so we're going to go heads up to a flop of Jack 8-3 2 spades. My opponent fires out 7,000, and I'm definitely torn between a raise and a call. One option for calling is probably just keeping the pot small with a somewhat vulnerable hand. Don't really want to play a massive pot and be all in with just one pair. Raising obviously can get value from flush draws and like a jack and just deny equity. And I ended up just opting for the call option. And we see a really gross turn, the ace of diamonds. He continues firing, but this time for a pretty small amount of 13,000. I mean, for this size, I definitely can't go anywhere, but obviously hating life, make the call, and we see the river, which is the 4 of hearts. Now my opponent decides to fire 30,000. Not a size that makes much sense to me, but it is making my hand feeling very, very indifferent of sorts. I go into the tank for a long time here, not something that I like doing, but I mean, I'm trying to think this out. Like, is this line very believable? I mean, he did raise from under the gun, and he's going bet, bet, bet on a turn ace. And is my opponent, 1, like taking a believable line? I think so. And 2, is my opponent even bluffing ever in this spot? And I think that's kind of up for the debate, really. I think I have to call sometimes. Obviously, I just can't have an ace every single time to call. I have to call with some hands that don't contain top pair and have easy decisions. And with queens here, I decided to just say, show me. You know, I don't really believe this like small turn bet. So I make the call, and my opponent shows pocket 6s for a bluff. Very nice pickup of chips, and we started the day from 177 quickly after 2 levels up to 300,000 now. We are cruising. So feeling pretty confident, feeling pretty spicy. This next hand, well, the low jack raises the 6,000. I pick up a very spicy one and 3-bet to 20,000. Very, very spicy, if you can clearly see the cards here. My opponent ends up making the call, and we're off to a flop, which comes ace, queen, 6 rainbow. So playing a 3-bet pot in position here on a board that should favor me a lot. My opponent checks. I start off with a small bet of 9,000, and he makes the call. So don't love seeing the continue, but the turn is the 7 of spades, bringing a backdoor flush draw. He checks once again, and I have a decision if I really just want to start blasting off and bombs away here. And the option is, well, if I'm talking about it, it's going to be yes. I choose the path of violence and bomb out 42,000. And my opponent luckily ends up finding a fold rather quickly, so didn't have to sweat this one too hard, to be fair. Very, very pleased about that because I didn't have much of a plan on the river. So luckily didn't come to that, and I pick up some more chips. And in the next spot, picking up pocket jacks, another very, very good premium. Hijack raises to 6,500 off about 400,000 chips, so he covers me here. Button makes the call, small blind makes the call, and I have a very good hand, of course, to squeeze, and I decided to 3-bet to 32.5 thousand, making it very large, and I thought it was going to be scary, but the hijack quickly re-raises to 106,000. Oh my goodness. Everyone ends up folding, and it doesn't take me very long to just fold this hand face up, honestly. Like, if this guy really has a bluff, once again, please show me. I welcome you to show me, especially how quickly he acted. Nice hand of this guy. I assume he just had me beat. He doesn't end up showing, but have to fold jacks in these main events, I guess. Not very fun to do. From jacks to nines, getting demoted, but hey, still a pretty good hand. The hijack raised the 6,000. I 3-bet him yet again. I'm feeling kind of sorry about having to 3-bet the same opponent over and over again, but I make it 20,000, and my opponent makes the call. We're off to a flop of queen 4-3. He checks it over to me here, and I decided to bet 16,000. Kind of wish I bet a little bit bigger here in hindsight. Kind of makes sense to do so with a hand like mine that kind of needs some protection, but he ends up making the call. When the turn comes the deuce of spades, it brings in a backdoor flush draw, and he checks once again. I'm thinking if my opponent has like an ace, jack, ace 10 of sorts, he definitely can call another barrel now that an ace picks up a straight draw, along with some other pairs that I'm ahead of right now. So I bet 23,000, a little bit small here, just trying to price in those exact hands to call. And once again, he does come along for a call. So we've got a pretty big pot here, and the river is a 7 of spades. Backdoor flush draw completes. Action's going to quickly go check. I'm not going to value bet pocket 9s once again. And my opponent has pocket 8s. So I'm going to win this one. That's a very nice one. I'm really happy with this hand. Happy to get 2 streets of value here in a 3-bet pot. And we're moving along, picking up pocket queens yet again. And this is very spicy. The undergun player raises the 6,000. The guy to my right, I swear I'm not targeting him. I mean, I just have good hands. This time he's off 40 big blinds, so I'm going to be 3-betting my hand to 20,000. Now the low jack wakes up and decides to put in a 4-bet to 52,000 with about 250,000 left. Action folds to me, and I don't think I'm folding, although this is really, really strong and super scary. I mean, the undergun player and myself should be extremely tight, and my opponent has about 80 big blinds. I am going to pray he's bluffing or has ace-king. I'm all in. He takes one look at his cards and calls. Oh my god, this cannot be good. He has pocket kings. Oh no. All of my hard work today for a 500,000 chip pot can just get wiped out right here. I'm 20% to win, and we're off to a run out where things are not looking good. Yeah, I'm going to lose this one. No 20% here. The 80% wins as rightfully it should. Pocket Kings holds for what seems to be like a chip lead pot right now. Pretty deep in this tournament in day 2. So I'm down to crumbs. Like I said, all that hard work the last 2 days building up my stack, gone. But luckily, I'm still alive because I built up my stack somewhat. So I'm depressed, but we've got to keep on fighting. So we're progressing to level 14. There's 80 players left and getting pretty close to the money as 50 players pay. I pick up pocket 7s here off of about 16 big blinds and raise it up to 10,000. The cutoff, an old man keeps 3-betting me. 3-bets to 27,000. I make the call. We're off to a flop of ace-10-9. I mean, this is not a very fun board. I check with my underpair, and he ends up checking this one back, which is quite suspicious. When the turn is the 9 of clubs, bringing in a backdoor flush draw, I have no idea what I want to do. It's pretty dicey with either betting or checking. He could just be playing his hand very face up with like jacks through kings. So I don't know. I'm gonna try and put out a small bet of 22,000, and my opponent calls quickly. Quick call might be a tell of being weak, but when the river comes another board pairing 10, oh my goodness, now I get to play the board. I've got about a pot-sized bet left. We only have to survive 30 other opponents to make it in the money, but I've got to put him to the ultimate test here. I can't help myself, but I don't know if he has an ace or not, but I definitely know he doesn't have a 9 or 10. So I'm all in, and he snap folds. Wow, that feels good. Pulling off a very big bluff nearing the money, and I'm really glad I didn't have to agonizingly sit here and sweat his decision. I just get the bluff through immediately.
Somehow still alive. We're on dinner break right now for a solid hour. When we come back, there's going to be 12 players to bust till the money. I've got about 30 bigs and a dream. Maybe I'll get it in next level, but hopefully you don't see any hand histories until we're in the money, because I don't really want to play many hands right now. Just got to lock up the min cash and go from there.
So we're 12 off the money now, coming back from break, second hand in. I pick up ace-jack offsuit. I raise the button, and the big blind goes all in for about 9 or 8 big blinds with queen 10 suited. So we've got a flip. I'm a very slight favorite, and he flops a 10. God, that is so frustrating to lose this one. Every chip matters, especially when I'm relatively short stacked as this. So my 30 big blinds goes crumbling into 20 big blinds. I mean, honestly, I crucially needed those chips. And we progressed to this next spot. We are 5 off the money, 55 opponents left, and the early position player ends up limping, who's been playing any 2 cards. I pick up aces on the button off 20 big blinds. I'm going to raise it up to 20,000 here, and the limper comes along for a call. So we've got action with the best hand, but I really don't know if I want it because I just want to make the money. It's been a tough trip, but the flop comes 6-5 deuce rainbow. It's a little scary because my opponent can play any 2 cards, but I've got aces and I'm committed. He checks to me, and I bet half the size of the pot, 27,000, and my opponent comes along for a call rather quickly. So I've left myself with about a half pot bet left for all of my chips. The turn, 9 of spades, looks pretty innocent enough, unless he has, like, I don't know, 8-7 somehow or something, or 9-6. Who knows? But he checks once again. I've got 58,000 left in my stack, and I bet 55,000 of it. I'm only leaving 3,000 left behind just in case somehow I'm behind, or just in case somehow I can just check this down and try to stay alive if I lose this pot. But for 55,000, he comes along for a call. I am effectively all in. With 5 players left to bust on pretty much the bubble of this tournament, we're off to a river, which is the 4 of spades. Oh my God, I couldn't have thought of a worse river to see. Spades complete, any 3 makes a straight, and he puts me all in for my last 3,000. Yeah, I mean, come on. I don't have a decision, obviously. I'm not very comfortable, and I'm kind of just like saying RIP. I take the full 30 seconds just to kill some time, because if I'm alive, I kind of want to kill as much time as possible. But not feeling super great because so many hands beat me, and I've only got 1 pair, and I don't even have a spade in my hand. Flick it in for my tournament life. The cameras, everyone's around to see what happens, and he has ace 10 of spades. That is a flush, and that's going to beat my aces. And that's how I say GG's to this one. Bubbling the WPT main event. Goodbye to aces.
5 off the fucking money. I'm fucking over it. I'm truly fucking over it. Time to leave Australia. Holy shit.
I hate poker. I quit.